If you're very moderate, Mr Farage, why is it, according to research done by one newspaper, The Times, that nearly 1 in 10 candidates for your party is friends on Facebook with Gary Rakes? Now, he's the British fascist leader.
Yeah, I'd never heard of Gary Rakes until yesterday, had you?
No.
Well, there you are. Well, there you are. Yeah. There you are. So we have, don't forget, I've come in right at the last minute. We have not had time to do full vetting of candidates. It's been impossible for us, all right? And I'd admit that. We had a plan. We didn't have time. Now, hang on, listen to me.
Go ahead.
On Facebook, mates send each other things.
Yep.
They like things, not having any idea where it comes from. And I can only apologise to your listeners that not all of our candidates have been to Eton. Not all of our candidates have been to Oxford. Not all of our candidates are part of the London set. And people like things on Facebook without having a clue where they come from. And you, like me, have never heard of Gary Rakes before yesterday.
No, OK, Mr Farage, but I'm not leader of a political party seeking, of course, to gain votes for the country. And what strikes me is you have this, and I know you are the bloke down the pub with a wet Labrador, a barber jacket and mustard corduroy trousers.
Sounds about right.
Exactly right. Drinking a pint of Spitfire, looking back at the great days of empire and Winston Churchill and storming the beaches. But you've got about 1 in 10 people who have Nazi sympathies.
That is utter cobblers, and you know it. I've explained this to you. People chuck stuff around on Facebook and they like comments. If you didn't know who Gary Rakes is, how could our guys know?
Well, why has the vetting failed? Let me take you to a candidate called Steve Chilcott.
Never heard of him.
Standing in London.
Never heard
Islam
of him.
and Nazis are the same thing. Sean Matthews standing in the seat in Lincolnshire, talking about children having their penises chopped off. If we come back to Hitler references, I could go through so many of your candidates.
Well, I'm sorry. Hang on a second. I think
Jake Fraser
I think
in Cheshire.
people being alarmed about sex conversion therapy for children. I mean, you'll find that's quite a big majority view, actually.
Let's come back
I bet most of your listeners are worried about it. I bet you.
Jake Fraser in Cheshire, the British
Never
public is like. There's a health holocaust, is what COVID was. John Edwards, who's standing in one of the Southampton seats. Vaccine producers are like Nazi armament companies. I could go on and on and on.
Well,
your image is carefully honed.
Do you know what?
Your army behind you.
I've never honed an image in my life. I'm who I am. I've never pretended to be anything different to what I am.
These are
they're ordinary people. That's how people out there speak. That's how they feel.
Ordinary people,
they
Mr
express
Farage, say
on
Islam
Facebook.
and Nazis are the same thing.
Well, I can tell you something.
Go on. They both want to kill Jews.
No, stop. Do you know why Churchill, in 1933, was almost the only person to see Hitler as a threat? Because he'd seen it with fanatical Islam when he'd fought against it in the 1890s. Now, we've moved on, we're 80 years on, but people are allowed to have opinions. People are allowed to express views.
You're not supporting the idea that Islam and Nazis. Just to clarify there, Mr Farage.
No, I'm scared of all fanaticisms.
You're equally scared of Islam as you would
No.
be...
You're making a very big mistake
I'm asking
here.
you.
I'm not talking about Islam.
OK.
At all. In fact...
But your candidate is Islam and Nazis are the same thing.
A very, very prominent...
They both want to kill Jews. They both hate homosexuals.
A very prominent businessman who happens to be a follower of Islam has joined our party this week. I'll be unveiling him next week. The vast majority of moderate Muslims in this country agree with similar principles to you and me. What is worrying is Islamism, extremism. And I tell you what, most Islamic people would agree with that statement.
OK, lastly on this, you have one candidate, Ian Gibbins, who seems to have totally the contrary view as you to concerns Winston Churchill. It would have been far better if Britain had taken Hitler up on his offer of neutrality.
Well, that's what most of the cabinet thought in 1939, 40.
Well, can we talk about 2024?
Well, yeah, I think the Daily Mail thought that quite strongly at the time.
Can we talk
it's
about...
It's a blooming stupid thing to say, and no question.
Is he going to be disciplined?
What can you do? His name's on the ballot. His name's on the ballot paper. I can't remove it.
Have you gone raving mad?
I've got more time to spend than to talk to someone like that.
Let's go to some more calls. Jacqueline is in Oldham again. Jacqueline, you're on the radio. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Nigel. How would you reform the civil service?
Go to war. I mean, it's unbelievable. I mean, this Conservative government, do you know, there are 600,000 more civil servants now than there were in 2019, despite the fact it was a Brexit election when we were supposed to get rid of regulations. Sunak ran as party leader, promising to get rid of 4,000 EU laws. Do you know what he did? Cancelled it. So I'm afraid the bureaucratic state, in some ways, has got worse, not better, under a Conservative government. It would appear... It's very interesting. There was a Home Office, a report in the Telegraph in the week, saying that people on a Home Office WhatsApp group were talking about inflicting violence on me. We haven't got a neutral civil service. They're utterly politicised. And we need to get back to where we were in the 80s, where ministers decide and civil servants implement. And it seems to be the other way around. Big reduction in numbers, which we can get if we start to deregulate.
Which department would you target first?
Every single one of them. Well, if you could find them, because they're normally working from home, of course.
On the subject of your security, The Sun reports that you've been offered private security by the Home Office after, as I've referenced earlier, you have been the unfortunate victim of 2 attacks already. Will you avail yourself of that, Mr Farage?
Well, I don't discuss my personal security situation, but I will say this: that in one day, 2 days ago, I was in Barnsley, I was in Ashfield, I was in Great Yarmouth and Kent. Can you imagine how big a security team that is? And, a lot of people were involved that day to try and keep me safe. And the Home Office, with the best will in the world, want to help a little bit, but they couldn't cover that.
So you won't be availing yourself of that?
If they want to help us, that's fine. But I need something much bigger than they can offer.
Do you ever get scared?
Thoughtful. Yeah, of course. I mean, how can you not? How can you not be a little bit thoughtful?
If I saw something heading towards you, I'd be petrified. I don't know what it is. It could be acid. I don't know what's coming my way.
Well, I know. I mean, Nick, I do get thoughtful, but I can't.
Why do you choose that word, thoughtful, rather than scared?
I cannot let these people win. If not, if they win, our whole democracy is under threat.
All right. A couple on the email, text and tweets. You know how this works as well as I do. Nigel used to do it here with great success. Rachel in Bexley. Other countries are saying they would recognise Palestine. Is this something Nigel Farage would support, Mr Farage?
Not all the while Hamas would run it, no.
Okay.
I mean, the idea of a two-state solution, of course, is ideal, but we have to get to a position where we think that Palestine will be a legitimate state. Right at the moment, I question that.
Guy in Winchester. Hearing some of your candidates' background is truly horrifying. Why don't you deselect them?
I can't. They are legally on the ballot. I can disown them, but they are legally.
Let's turn deselect to disown.
Yeah, I mean, I may well do that. I haven't had time to think. I've been doing this job 9 days.
I won't read it all to you again. But
A lot of the stuff you're criticising is how ordinary folk down the pub speak.
I'm sorry, Islam and Nazis. I'm sorry, I've got to come back to that, Nigel Farage.
Well, Winston Churchill clearly was a very bad man because he thought exactly the same.
So he's not going to get deselected or disowned or anything.
I doubt it. I can't. They're going to be on the ballot paper anyway.
All right, OK.
And by the way, because of a snap election, the Greens have got horrendous problems. All the parties have got horrendous problems.
It's not a race to the bottom, though, is it, of course?
No, look,
right.
If I'd had 6 months at this,
right,
it'd be different. I didn't.